This is the Griffin Realty Group Ask-A-Griffin podcast, episode number 9. Should I complete the deferred major upgrades to my property? Are you a buyer, seller, or real estate agent who has questions about buying or selling residential property, but you just can't seem to find an easy place to get the answers? Well, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Griffin Realty Group and the host of the Ask-A-Griffin podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction, if you have an immediate need to buy or sell right now or in the near future, you can take advantage of our step-by-step guides that are waiting for you over at griffincourses.com. That's Griffin courses.com. All right, let's get started. Should you complete the deferred major upgrades? In the last episode, we talked about the low to no cost, easy to do things yourself, that do-it-yourself stuff. You should do those first. That's easy. All right. Definitely want to talk about that. In the next episode going forward, I'll talk about cleaning once we get through all this major stuff, because this is what matters when it comes to the value, understanding all this deferred maintenance. And so clearly the easiest stuff is the stuff that you can do yourself, but you might not be inclined to do that. So all of it might be major in your case, but my job here is to try to teach you which ones are most important. What is the buyer really looking at when it comes to the obvious major upgrades? Those are the things we're looking at. So just to orient you for this podcast, I'm going to try to keep you away from your perception. And it's easy to get caught up in perception because when you go to the internet, you look more typically at beauty, design, form, function. People love to look at real estate online because it's beautiful. And it's intriguing and it's voyeuristic. We can look into the lives of people and how they live their life on the inside. It's a curiosity. So real estate is just a great attraction online, but it can confuse you when it comes to the practicality of selling your property and what really is value. Now, of course, there's nothing like a beautiful house, but what's beneath all that beauty? You could spend an enormous amount of time going into parts of this, and we'll get into this series, into staging, etc. But we have to work from those bones upwards first. So we're talking about major upgrades here that the buyer will have to do if you don't. And subsequently, if you're not going to, what do you do about that to protect yourself during the sale? So let's start on the outside. My second point here is, what do you do on the outside? Well, if you're selling a condominium in a place like downtown Boston where we cover, that's a little bit different. It is important to check in with the board to make sure you know what's happening with the exterior or the common areas of the building. And again, sometimes we just write our condominium fees and we don't pay much attention to budgets. Do we actually have a healthy enough budget to do the outside? See, we never look at it as if we are a potential buyer because we're just doing what we do and then one day we decide to sell. So what I would recommend is, whether you live in a single family property or a condominium, step outside first and really walk from the curb in at the property. Walk all around, look up the sides, maybe even go up onto the roof if it's safe up there. If not, it's a single family and there's no roof deck per se. Step to the side, look at it, look at the gutters, look up and around at the shell. Remember what this is too. This is shelter, right? Pretty simply put, this is shelter. So is it weather tight? People hate hearing, especially water, that water can get in, snow can get in, wind can get in. All these things can get in. If you're in a really super, super hot place, that again, it's done properly from the outside to keep the heat out. So there are so many things on the outside that merit our consideration. But let me give you a couple of examples with the type of properties that we would have. So if we're covering downtown Boston, there's a lot of brick and/or / brownstone, stucco combination, etc. Whatever the materials might be. What do they look like? I mean, are they flaking? Are the bricks in need of repointing, meaning the cement needs to be dug out? Some of the bricks need to be replaced. What does it look like there? And then, of course, the roof. What is the age of the roof? It's one of the major questions that gets asked all the time. How old is the roof? Because if you think about a property, it's top down. So let's go from the top down. Look at the roof and any kind of chimney exposure. There are two things there. What is the chimney made out of? Does it look like it's compromised? Does it look like that's where water could come in? Chimney caps are a big deal for the simple maintenance of not letting animals in, number one, and not letting the weather down right straight down. Of course, we need a place for it to vent, so proper chimney caps are a big deal. And for many years, they weren't required and nobody thought about them, but they just make sense from a pragmatic standpoint. That's actually low cost, but it's what's beneath that. The brick or the stucco, the masonry, the stonework. What is that chimney made out of? And all the vent pipes for bathrooms and any other type of venting, are they done correctly? And are they compromised? And then are they flashed correctly? Meaning the piece where we had to compromise the roofing system to get there, is that open to weather? Or is it done correctly? Especially around a chimney, you often see lead or copper used to really make sure that it's a tight seal, and any kind of other material that can resist heat is used to caulk this, so it's tight. And then the shingles only have so much of a life, no matter what they're made of. They're going to decay. They take the greatest beating. How old are they? Was there a guarantee? Is that guarantee in writing? Do you, the owner? I'm thinking like a buyer all of a sudden, right? Does the owner have this? No. Do you? I'm talking to you, the owner. Do you have the guarantee? And so now we come down to the gutters next. As the water comes down, let's say the roof is effective. Everything's tight. What do those gutters look like? Are they pulled off the side of the house? Does the water just skip over them? Have they ever been cleaned? Are the drain pipes compromised? Does it get, when the drain pipes come down, do they go all the way into dry wells, or do they go off into the yard or off into the street? Are they functioning properly? Because if they're not, then the water starts to come down onto the sidewalling. Now, the sidewalling, like I said, could be brick if it were downtown Boston. Definitely shingle and clapboard, cedar clapboard and shingle if it's Cape Cod. The juxtaposition of two different materials, all the same, damage done by weather. Is it compromised? Because if it's a big house especially, that's a lot to do. And if it's a condominium and nobody has money deferred or a plan set aside or a plan to upgrade it and repoint it, these are all things that the buyer are going to look at. So you want to know the answers to those questions, and or are you in a situation where that's an issue? Now, of course, this will all just come right down to the exterior exposed foundation, and a lot of that has to do with some of the landscaping. Has the property settled? Is the water pitched back? Are we now drawing water into the basement unnecessarily? So we just look at the skin. That's just a major quick review and see how quickly it went. This is not rocket science. I'm not talking about some professional seller home inspection, which I certainly highly recommend if you really want to get the smelling salts moment on what you have not done to your property or what really needs to be done, because you can guarantee the buyer is going to bring one and they're going to know. So if you don't want to be surprised, you certainly could do this, but I'm telling you the things that they would consider. So all the trim too, whether that trim is made out of, whatever it might be, it's always been, if it was a shingle style house, always been something like a wood-based product. Now all of a sudden it's all new material that has longer life, etc. So all those things are being considered, right? That's outside. Now I go inside. Does this thing function? Meaning what? Heat. Do I have heat in this place? This is shelter, but I need some heat inside there, number one. And of course, if it's a hot spot, definitely air conditioning as well. Does the house even come air conditioned? Is it window air? Is it slim fit on the wall? What is it? And does all of that work? And how old is it? And are there any warranties on all of that? The work, the parts, etc. It's just an inventory you're taking here. But the heating system. Then, of course, all the plumbing system. Does the water flow through properly to the baths, the toilets, the sink? I need to eat and I need to use the bathroom, right? Those are basics. And I mean the basic functioning, the plumbing systems. Then the electrical systems. Has it ever been upgraded? Is it dilapidated? What kind of condition is that in? Is it a hazard? Boy, people don't like water and they don't like electrical hazards. Those are two of the scariest things. Are they safe? What year were they built? How old is this property? How deeply did you look at it? So those are the types of things that as we go inside, they're very systemic. Can this place function to keep me warm and safe? And does it work? Or am I about to inherit a massive problem here? That's what the buyer's looking for. And I will tell you, there are a lot of deals lost over a home inspection because the buyer is nervous to begin with about what they're buying blindly. And then it's the job of the home inspector to go through this place with a fine-tooth comb and look at everything that could or is going wrong and put it in a big old report, just enough to scare about anybody, right? So it's really good to just have a basic understanding of that process. That is a real estate 101 process. Of course, there are sales where you can say, I don't care what you find. I'm selling it as is. That's fine as long as it's priced correctly for that. And as long as you have a buyer who understands it and sees the value. So you're discounting because of the deferred maintenance. They see the value in that and they don't want a home inspection. They're comfortable. They might take a quick peek at it, but that's a rare event. That's not the regular part of this business. The regular occurrence is that there will be a home inspection and there will be discussion about those issues. So let's get you out in front of it. Now, the next point here is, what if you don't have the money or the time? I mean, you might have the money, but you don't want to deal with the contractors coming in and out of your house, and you have to just sell this because circumstances have changed. Not that you're going to quote unquote, I know what you all say to me, I'm not going to give it away. I know there's no such thing unless you drop the keys at the front with a sign that says free house and here's the deed signed already. That's the only way you give a house away. Having said that, you might just not have the tolerance for this process. You know what you paid. You know it's in good condition because you've been maintaining it. You get a good realtor to help you out with true market value. You price it and it's over. I get it. That's fine. But you're still going to have to deal with these issues when somebody comes in to look at them. And what if you don't have the money or you just don't want to spend the money? You have it and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do here. I just don't want to put it out there. Well, this is the key point of this podcast right here. This is what these great contractors are for. General contractors, specific contractors. I just mentioned an electrical contractor, a plumbing contractor, a roofing and sidewalling, windows. I didn't even mention those on the outside, right? That's a massive upgrade. If those are deferred and leaking and not working. There are so many contractors out there that could give you prices. Now, you might not have a need for a general contractor who would go in and price all these items. That's what a general is typically good at. They have all the subcontractors ready to go. But you might just have a window contractor you need, or sidewalling, or a roof. Up to you. But here's the deal. Will you have them out to your house, please? Have them take a look at what's there. Have them make a suggestion. And definitely have them put it in writing. And you tell them that all of the buyers that are going to come through, you will use their estimate with their name and give it to the buyers. Because you're going to use that either right up front in the beginning or you're going to bring it out during negotiation. And that's the key point for you here, all right? Is that I want you to do these things to protect yourself so that when you get to the negotiation, you're not being surprised by all this. You knew this because you took an inventory and your mindset was ready. And please be realistic. If you're only going to price certain things out, you are not going to be able to get what a comparable property would get if it has all these upgrades. Unless you have, let's just presume all else is equal, like they both have views, they both have the right location, whatever it might be. You have to price it accordingly if these are deferred items. But when it's a deferred item and everybody, you and the buyer, are guessing as to the cost of upgrade, that's a problem. So that's why I'm saying have these major items priced out and you can protect yourself. Now, just a little side note here. I would start with all the systematic things that are major items, and I would leave more cosmetic or taste items to the buyer. As long as something's not broken in the bathroom and it's clean and in working order, I can make the case for some of you that pricing it out and having it ready to go, a complete bathroom remodel, a complete kitchen remodel, those are two big items that you're looking for that return on investment. And it can be very risky to go in there and start ripping them out, especially if you get too overly involved in what your taste is, because that's not the buyer's taste. If you're going to do those projects and you're going to pay for them, you want to be careful to be neutral. Let a general contractor tell you what is sort of standard fare for what's expected today. Just be careful. That's a little extra caveat, right? This podcast is more about just being aware that these are the items that will come up. I just don't want you going down the rabbit hole because you think that you're going to get a dramatic return on investment. Even people who are professional flippers, meaning they'll buy a property, they'll add all of these deferred maintenance items, they'll resell it and turn a profit, even they have a very difficult time navigating the cost. So would you. So if you haven't been doing this over time, my best advice is to price it out. Now, of course, if you go to Marketplace and you think you priced it right and you get feedback that no matter what, nobody's going to buy your place without the bathroom, well, now you might have to spend the money. Now, if you hear enough people say, no way, you have one of two choices. Lower it even more or do the project, but do it neutrally. All right, let me go back and go over this. Should you complete major deferred upgrade items? Sure, some of them, if you have the money, time, and wherewithal. But there are some obvious ones. And on the outside, that's where I'd start. Then I'd come inside. If it makes the house function properly against the weather and internally keep you fed, bathed, etc., those are the items you're looking for. Think logically, right? So outside, inside, and if you don't have the time, money, wherewithal, have these things priced out by professional contractors, put it in writing so that you have it prior to pricing your property correctly and or negotiating. All right, so here's the key point to summarize. Once a seller has completed the low to no cost do-it-yourself projects, it's critical to at least consider the major deferred upgrades. Now, after going through the list, it's best to do the core systems upgrades, before those that might relate to personal taste versus universal appeal. In any case, it's smart to price out all major deferred items to protect yourself during the negotiation, as well as simply pricing your property correctly from the outset. All right, remember, you can take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you have a need to sell or buy right now or in the near future by getting our free step-by-step guides at griffincourses.com. That's GRIFFIN courses.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also post all of our episodes all over our social media channels, so just go looking for us wherever you are on social and turn on those notifications for Griffin Realty Group and you won't miss any of our reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content, please, with any other people that are thinking about buying or selling that could use these tips to protect themselves. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, nobody's coming to help you. So go get to work on your own plan for buying or selling properties and keep those questions coming and we'll keep the answers coming your way. See you in the next episode.